Hi, I'm Becky Hawbaker, and I'm a special education teacher at Price Lab School at UNI. And it's been my honor to play a very small supporting role in the development of these Iowa Core Curriculum units in the area of differentiation, which I'll be discussing today. From the beginning of this project, there's been a shared belief among all of the writing teams that the Iowa Core Curriculum is for all Iowa students. That it's not something that is geared towards just an elite upper crust of our students. It's not intended to be tracked in one direction, not just for the middle third of our students either, that it is intended to be flexible enough that it can be stretched in multiple directions to meet multiple learning needs. Obviously, though, there are some inherent challenges with that kind of belief. We believe that all of our students are able to reach rigorous learning outcomes, yet at the same time we recognize that our classrooms, as you well know, are becoming increasingly diverse every year. That includes students with disabilities who qualify for special education services and individualized education plans or 504 plans that are delivered in the general ed curriculum. It includes English language learners who speak a panoply of languages from Spanish to Chinese to Vietnamese and Bosnian and lots of other languages I can't even pronounce. It includes students who are at risk of school failure for a variety of reasons. Perhaps they are living in poverty, perhaps their family is going through crisis, and also includes students who are talented and gifted, who crave and need additional challenge to remain engaged in high academic learning. And then beyond those formalized categories, there are all kinds of other students who are either highly proficient on one end or less than proficient on the other, who also need something different, some other kind of intensive or supplemental instruction in order to be successful in any curriculum. So, as we approached the template for these units, we wanted to make sure that we were prompting and supporting and encouraging good differentiation strategies. And what we came up with is something that's actually very flexible and usable in multiple ways because it's just a box. It's a box that can be completed in thousands of different ways using many different philosophic approaches and strategies and teaching styles. But the core idea behind it is that one size will not fit all, and that as we plan our activities in these units, we have to start with the idea that it has to be stretched and differentiated. We structured this box with language that was borrowed from Iowa's instructional decision-making model, which is an idea, a process that envisions a curriculum as a circle, the core curriculum as a large circle, and that within that circle there are students who are either highly proficient on one end or less than proficient on the other, that need maybe just a little bit of supplemental instruction on either end, or need intensive instruction on either end. But in either case, they're all within the same core curriculum. It's not that that instruction is something that is separate from or outside of the core curriculum. It's all within. And that it's all very fluid, that students can move from one of those circles to another very flexibly, very easily. And so we wanted to support that approach and philosophy. And we also wanted to make sure that this box suggested and supported a very collaborative, consultative approach. We wanted to make clear that the responsibility for the learning of students in a classroom is not the responsibility of any single teacher in a building, that it is something that is shared by teams or whole buildings of teachers working together. And towards this end, one of the first things we ask for in that box is prioritized vocabulary, skills, and concepts. And we want that so that it could be shared, with special education teachers, ELL teachers, TAG teachers. You fill in the blank with whoever in your school is working to provide those intensive and supplemental instruction for students who need something different. And that together we would create that instruction using the priorities that are defined by the content teacher. to help students reach those outcomes. The next thing that we prompted for was suggestions for supplemental and intensive instruction for students who are less than proficient. And we didn't make it a checklist or something that had specific strategies to think of, because we didn't want to limit anyone to a certain list. But instead we wanted all of the teachers who were on the writing team to use their best professional judgment, their most creative strategies, and the professional development that their own districts have invested in them, and to meet the needs of students, because we recognized that there are thousands of ways to differentiate a curriculum, and that we don't necessarily know the answers or the best answer on the front end. And so we just asked teachers to come up with some suggestions. Next, we prompted for suggestions for highly proficient students on the other end. Again, we emphasize that these suggestions are absolutely not exhaustive, and are certainly not a guarantee that now these activities are now accessible to all learners. But it's a start. And we hope that these suggestions provide some direction and inspiration to continue that journey, because we emphasize that our understanding of curriculum development and differentiation is an ongoing process. That every time you teach that unit, you're adding new layers of differentiations and strategies, that you're constantly stretching in new directions, and working towards an idea of universal accessibility, with the understanding that you probably will never reach it. So again, we wanted to have something that would serve as a beginning piece, but challenge everyone who looks at these units and uses them to add their own ideas, to add their own strategies, to fill in the blanks with the students that they are serving, that perhaps the teachers who wrote the units don't have in their classrooms. So that is the origin and process of the differentiation boxes, and I hope that they're very useful to you. And I'll turn it back over to the next speaker. Thank you.